Welcome! It's your friendly neighborhood Badger here, and I'm back with another Lightning Tendrils video. Now, a lot of you know that I've been pretty excited about the buff coming to this skill, but this video is not any sort of build guide or anything like that. This is going to be an overview, and also a recommendation that you do not league start this build. Now, I know a lot of people are wanting to. They've seen me hyping it up or saying like, oh, it's going to be pretty cool. The damage numbers look really good. I'm just going to showcase a very scrappy put together build that I have worked out just on normal Scourge League today. I'm going to be showing you the tree and everything like that. And I'm also going to be giving you a POB for this with some leveling tips and everything like that in there and some leveling trees. However, this is an official Badger recommendation to not league start this, and I'm going to talk about why. The first thing we're going to talk about is numbers themselves within PoE, and not to trust sheer numbers. Now, this has always caught me off guard, looking at something that's been buffed by, say for example, like Lightning Tendrils, being buffed by around about 80% damage, even more if we're talking about the buffs to how Phantasmal Lightning Tendrils works and everything like that, and I'll go over stuff like that as we talk through this all. But if a skill is fundamentally bad in its design, then the skill is never going to fully feel good. Lightning Tendrils, unfortunately, feels bad. It's a bad skill. Now, the reason I say that is because of area of effect. Now, right here, you can see my area of effect on this Lightning Tendrils is about this, and I have almost 100% increased area of effect. With 100% increased area of effect and a level 21 gem, meaning it's getting +8 to radius as well, it's extending only as far as what my mouse is showing right here. This is fundamentally terrible for a skill. You can supplement Lightning Tendrils with other clear skills like Arc, for example. Look, I've got a free 6-link right here. You could definitely use some other skill for clear like Arc. But I also want to run a map and show you what this build feels like. Now, granted, the build is pretty scrappy. My gems are really bad, like level 11 gems apart from the main skill itself. The rest of the gear is really terrible. However, I am using an Impulses and Storm's Gift. This is not day 1 gear unless you're an absolute top gamer. This is day 2 to, week 1 gear. And even the 6-link right here is showcasing that, this isn't terrible gear. However, we are going to be running a tier 7 white map, so no mods on this map. The boss is very tanky in this map. However, I am just going to showcase what it's like. Keep in mind, the damage of Lightning Tendrils will be about anywhere from 60 to 80% more than what you're seeing right here. We're also using Lightning Warp, Defiance Banner, Wrath, and Determination here, with a bunch of other stuff on the tree that we'll get to a little bit later. But let's just jump in, and I'll just quickly show you how this does play. First of all, I'm just going to let these enemies hit me, so you can see, I've got layers of defenses. They're going to kill me if they keep hitting me, but I do have layers of defenses, which is really nice. But we can just kind of zap them right there, and they'll explode from the Impulses. So yeah, Impulses does have some pretty nice clear. However, just playing the channel play style with Lightning Tendrils doesn't feel great at all. And I'm beginning to think that I'm not going to be league starting this. I've got an Ice Trapper in the back pocket that's looking like a really strong league starter that can scale immensely well and will be able to do all the content in the game as a league starter. Am I still thinking about playing Lightning Tendrils? Definitely. I do want to play it, especially with the buffs, but I think it's going to be as a second character and probably scaling power charges as an occultist. Now, the reason for that is because occultist power charge scaling and the AoE scaling there, combined with vast power medium clusters, means that you can get so much more area, and you can actually scale this into almost a full screen Lightning Tendrils. That is going to be the difference of a build like this. Right now I'm playing it on Elementalist, and just with the 60% from the Elementalist convergence, with some AoE on the tree there as well, it's just not enough to bring this into a skill that's actually worth playing. Let's just jump over to the boss, and I'll show you how the damage feels on the boss itself. We do have a Wave of Conviction set up with Conductivity, and obviously on Elementalist we've got some big Mastermind of Discord extra exposure. So we can see what the damage feels like right there. And we can see what kind of shock we're getting up to. We are shocking and chilling on bosses, and you can see right here, Oh, let me just do this again. We get around a 45% shock in total. Now, you can imagine the boss DPS is relatively okay if we're talking about the damage being almost double, especially with the Phantasmal. And with the Phantasmal, we will be getting a 60% shock instead of a 45% shock there as well. So the build isn't bad. It's a well put together build, and I'm fairly happy with how it looks. I'm just really put off with how the build plays, the actual play style of the build. For this to be truly endgame viable, it'd have to be a lot tankier because you do need to stand still and you need to be casting. Something that's going to be a better channeled skill is something like Stormburst. That's also getting a big buff. Not as much as Lightning Tendrils, but it is getting a big buff. Stormburst means that you can actually target anywhere on the screen. Do I have a Stormburst here I can show you? I do. So I can just show you Stormburst. You can target absolutely anywhere on the screen with Stormburst. Stormburst also has a hidden functionality with Infused Channeling. Now, Infused Channeling is something that gives you less damage taken from hits of types matching the skill gem's tags. With Lightning Tendrils, it's, AoE, Lightning, Channeling, but Stormburst also has Physical with this, and Duration. Now, Physical is the big kicker. It gives you 8% less physical damage taken, and physical damage is a big thing in Path of Exile. So it's just an added defensive layer using Stormburst as well. So basically, Stormburst is just a better Lightning Tendrils. You do have to scale AoE a little bit better. You have to scale Duration as well on Stormburst. However, it is just better, in my opinion. Now, as I was saying as well, we are using an Impulsors. If I can find a pack without Impulsors here, if I just jump around a little bit more and take my body armor off, I can just show you how it looks like without using the Impulsors pops. So, as you can see here, that's basically the range, those mobs walking into the Lightning Tendril right there. We can find a few more. There's no pops of clearing, intense packs, and that's why I'm thinking that it's just not viable for me, personally, as a League starter. Because without this Lightning Tendrils, without the 6th link, etc., it's just not looking like it's going to be the type of skill for me. Something like a Trapper is a lot more League Start viable, especially Ice Trap, even Lightning Trap, Explosive Trap. They've all been buffed really, really heavily, especially if you use like Swift Assembly instead of Cluster Traps or something like that. It's going to be really strong. But yeah, as I'm running around here, it's more and more sinking in that, unfortunately, as a League starter, I'm probably not starting this. You can still start this if you would like to. If you're, a little bit of a sadist or a masochist or something like that, I'm still going to give you a PoB with some leveling trees and some small leveling notes. And you can still play it. A lot of people are saying, oh, it feels so bad leveling through the story. It doesn't. I actually leveled it in its pre-buffed state over the past couple of days on twitch.tv/thisisbadger, and it felt good, as long as you do just get your flat damage wands upgraded when you can. It can carry you pretty much all the way through the story. It's got great single target damage, and once again, I don't think the single target damage is the problem with Lightning Tendrils. It's just the skill itself, the AoE of the skill and the channeling play style of the skill. That's all I really have to say on the matter of the skill itself. We're just going to quickly go over the tree here for you. I'll just talk you through the choices that I made on a build like this. First of all, we're going to talk defensively. Now, this is not the exact tree that I'm using here, but it does use, life combined with energy shield through the use of a Glorious Vanity, which is another thing that you're not going to get straight on League Start either. And Glorious Vanity is a little bit of a pin that holds a lot of this together. Now, through all of this, we just come out of the Witch area and we just pick up Heart of Soul, Lightning Walker, things like the Caster Mastery with Cannot Be Chilled or Frozen when casting a spell, actually very, very helpful with a skill like this. A big kicker to the skill is the Lightning Mastery of lightning damage with non-critical strikes is lucky. Because we're not critting on a spell like this, this means that we get 20% extra damage right here. If we take that off and we put it back on, where is it? It's actually 25% more damage with something like that because of the large range of critical strike, of lightning damage variants. Now, the build that you were just seeing there does not have a cluster jewel setup, and it actually has about a quarter of the DPS that you're seeing here. Basically double this total DPS right here as well, and also increase, well, no, basically double because it's not taking into consideration at all the stronger pulse and the 60 to 80% buff that it will be getting. But you are using things like Enduring Focus for endurance charges. things like 2 rapid infusions for increased effect of infusion with infused channeling, and an unwavering focus there as well to avoid being stunned while channeling. If you don't want the endurance charges, you can get 2 of these to never be stunned while channeling as well, meaning that if you can't be chilled, frozen, or stunned, you can basically just sit there and keep channeling, which is really, really nice defensively. Now, it also uses a Nature's Patience if you want to. A Nature's Patience means that you can get up to 5 stacks, so 2% chance to deal double damage per Grasping Vine, up to 5 stacks, which is 10% chance to deal double damage, and 5% less damage taken with all the stacks. And you get 2 Grasping Vines each second while stationary, so 5 seconds of channeling it stacks up. And you combat that with, well, the boots aren't actually in here right now, but the Stampede boots. These boots combat it with their movement speed is 150% of base value right there. And because the Grasping Vines, they give you a lot less movement speed, but if your movement speed is always 150% of base value, it actually completely counteracts something like Grasping Vines and Nature's Patience. You can just use a Sublime Sensation in the other slot if you want to, if you're an increased life and max energy shield. Picking up Reservation, this is very important to be able to run 2 50% auras, which is Wrath and Determination, as well as a Defiance banner in there if you do want to. Picking up Life, picking up Divine Judgment. Now the Staff Mastery right here in the Staff block, with the recover of 2% of energy shield and 2% of life when you block spell damage or attack damage, is very strong for the build because we are taking Glancing Blows with 72 block chance, 42 spell block chance. Divine Shield is another really big one on the build because we are stacking armor. Now this is without any sort of flask, it's just like a flat 12,000 armor right there. And then picking up, obviously, Glancing Blows as I talked about, using Corrupted Soul here with the Glorious Vanity. And then picking up a little bit of AoE, Light of Divinity, Holy Dominion, Retribution. That's basically the tree right there. There's nothing special apart from Elemental Overload, but with something like Lightning Tendrils, you know, you're critting a lot, so you don't need to worry too much about Elemental Overload. It will always be up. It's just a 40% more damage buff right there for you. The skills themselves, Lightning Tendrils, I've been playing around with what actually we do here. Oh, actually, right before the skills, let's just quickly talk about what I would do on the tree itself. Let me just switch that around. Mastermind of Discord with Heart of Destruction for the AoE for clear, and then gaining Convergence when you hit an enemy. And then picking up Shaper of Winter for chill, which is a great defensive aspect and allows us to use Hypothermia in our offenses as well. Because we're not going crit, there's not a lot of gems that we can use, support gems, so Hypothermia is really nice. And then picking up Shaper of Storms for up to 60% crit if we do take a Mastery that allows us to crit. And we can anoint Heart of Thunder there as well if we would like to. The skills themselves, Lightning Tendrils, Lightning Pen, Infused Channeling, Faster Caster, Hypothermia, and Inspiration are my favorite setup right here. You can go Controlled Destruction, but it puts your crit chance at 3%. If you're attacking 10 times a second, that means you're going to be channeling for 3 seconds on average before you get any sort of crit to be able to proc your Elemental Overload. It can still be done, but it's a lot worse than just going Inspiration and getting a bunch more crit right there. However, the damage is a lot higher. You get about 200k more damage right there. So it's actually about 20% more damage if you do manage to keep your crit chance up right there. But Controlled Destruction's a little bit rough for that. Hydrosphere with Hex Touch, Conductivity, Smite in there if you do want there as well, just to be able to hit the enemies and get a little bit more flat damage because the flat damage scaling of Lightning Tendrils is going way up. Determination, Divine Span of Wrath, and then you've got an Orb of Storms, Inspiration, Elemental Focus, and Lightning Pen setup right there if you do want some damage, or you can swap this into, you know, just an Orb of Storms Hydrosphere or an Orb of Storms Wave of Conviction or something like that. Hydrosphere or Wave of Conviction, it doesn't matter which you use, just as long as you do apply exposure right there as well. Sigil Power was a little bit of a play around. You don't... It's basically, if you do want to use Sigil of Power, you're only ever going to get one stage on that one. Don't worry about that. Vile Flame Blast here as well. I will be putting... That's all I really will talk about. The items themselves, Agnerod West, I think I talked about in my last video. Impulses, Storm's Gift for your clear. Without that, it's going to be a little bit rough. Velico's Sign is a nice, really, really cheap ring that just gives you a little bit of damage. And then you can see the rest of the clusters there if you do like to, with a couple of free sockets. No flasks on there right now, and the rest is just basically, you know, armor and life and everything like that. We do have a +1 intelligence gems right there. And this is, remember, this is pre-buff. All of these numbers here, I haven't tweaked anything. It's all pre-buff. I'll upload the POB just when it updates. But when it updates, it should hopefully just auto update to the new values right there. That's all I really have to say on the matter. I'll be updating just some small little leveling tips in the notes section. I don't have anything here right now, but I will be updating some small little note sections right here for you all. And also some skill tree leveling there as well. Around about every 20 levels, I'll do an extra skill tree just so you can see the progression that I would do, because I did level this through the story as well, just to see how it feels. So at the end of all of this, this is a recommendation to not league start this build. I will say it once, I will say it twice, I will say it as many times as I can to protect my own hiney and to protect you from a potential bad league starter. Now, this build will be able to get into yellow maps very easily. Even without impulses, it's just going to be pretty slow though. And with scaling, going occultist and going crit, or going inquisitor and going crit, or potentially going stormburst, this will be endgame viable. Even in the non-crit version, you could definitely scale it fully into the endgame. However, it's going to be a pain, and it's not going to be a smooth scaling. So just keep that in mind. Once again though, if you want to play this, go for it. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch me try out some other skills, we're going to be definitely looking at Ice Trap and potentially Lightning Trap as well. Twitch.tv/thisisbadger. Remember, hit that sub button down below if you enjoy the content. Yeah, I'm really not for pushing a build if I don't personally think it's a good idea. So please take this on board. I'm definitely going to be releasing build guides for builds that are definitely good, but this one is just a build overview. It is not a build recommendation. It is not a build guide. Keep it in mind. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Badger is out.